hinges first. You're learning to do maybe you've already gotten all past that and you want to learn to do chassis, you want to learn to do maybe on the lathes and learn to make your own hilts. So you're attempting these new skill sets and you are, do you take your time? Do you jump right in? Like me, I've always been the kind to jump in full force, go 100 miles an hour, and then I have to really back myself up. Mm, yeah, back it all the way because sometimes I just jump in, don't know what the hell I'm doing, attempt something. Okay, it goes to crap, but hey, I go back and I'll start trying to learn this, and this where I went wrong with it, and then do it again. And you never fail at something. You never fail at something if you don't stop trying to learn it, right, Cindy? Or if you don't stop learning, and I guess learning is always going to be a skill set that everybody has, and whether you attempt to stop learning something that you're doing, that's when you fail at something, right? And then again, if you keep on going until you get it right, then you never really fail at it. Like I said, you always just end up having a little setback, but you keep rolling with the punches. And that's how I feel, right? And Cindy, I don't know about you, man, but when you made your first chassis, were you intimidated when you tried your first one, or did you were so excited and you made your first chassis? Was it like spot on the first time you attempted it, or did you have like a few hiccups here and there, and then from there you learned where your hiccups were, and then you got it progressively, you got better as you went on learning the chassis, like learning the program of Fusion 360. Then you went into after you made your first chassis, what you know mis- mistakes are the only way I can learn half the time. Laugh out loud. So yeah, I jump in head first and then take a step back, figure it out when I inevitably find hiccups. Yeah, I think that's the way to go, Cincy, man. If I think if you don't attempt something and you let the intimidation factor bring you in and pull you away from your goals, uh you know I believe that intimidation of such things can really bring you backwards a whole lot from going forward within the hobby. Because I think if you're stagnant and you stay where you're at, they say you're just installing, but from everybody else, and you're installing just wires or this and that, and you stay stagnant there. I don't think you can actually grow to your full potential within the hobby if you don't attempt anything else within it, right? So you may get good at your wiring, your chassis and so forth, and you're wiring everybody else's chassis and you're getting good at that. But then when it comes time, you get to the point where like, dude, I'm gonna try my own chassis and see what I can do. Then in lies the new skill set of learning how to do the program to make it come out the way you want it to, do all the little greeblies the way you want them, make it your own, right? You make it your own, have to sand it, color it, whatever you will, then make it fit into any saber that you're going to put it in. And it brings the factor of that skill set closer to what the real Jedi are about in terms of having to make their own lightsabers, right? So you're that one step closer to achieving that goal of becoming a Jedi in terms of making your own lightsaber, but you have to take all those different steps in learning to make your hilt, make your chassis, get your wires, get your electronics, right? Get the battery, get all of that together, and then make all of that work in unison. Felicia, what up, mama? Felicia. Hello, hello there. And so if you learn all these different skill sets and somebody who's in the hobby because they feel like they want to achieve that Jedi sense of becoming their own, hilt installer, their own hilt builder, their own saber maker, then yeah, man, you have to get you and ladies, you have to understand that each new path of the Jedi stands with new skill sets, new skill sets in every aspect of the build. So, I think it's really not. I don't want to say disheartening. It's not disheartening because sometimes you get down on yourself and you're harder than anybody else when you do something, right? More people don't judge you by what you judge yourself in terms of how you're building things, and you're basically your own worst enemy sometimes when other people are praising you for what you're doing, right? I believe that once you learn all these new skill sets and you start applying them, that it also applies to your everyday life as well because you're not only having these skill sets. I mean, we have a certain amount of skill sets in real life that we have to abide by work, house, everything, family, all of that, right? And you have to have a certain skill set to deal with your family, to deal with your friends, to deal with your daily life, your schedules, and so forth. And you live from day to day to do these things, and you get to the point where you have your skill sets down to a T. So it's almost automatic, right? Now, when you learn something new, it takes away from the comfortability that you have in terms of having these skill sets, and then you add something to it. You're like, oh man, I don't know if I can do this. And Felicia, I'm not trying to pick on you, Mama, but you're just starting out, and that intimidation factor for you of getting started, you want to build your own, and I feel your enthusiasm of achieving that goal. And yes, you can achieve that, Mama. And it's just a matter of getting started. So the hardest step is always going to be your first step, right? So Felicia, if you bought your iron, that's your first step, right? Your first start. And if you bought some wire, right? If you bought wire, so there's your second step right there. So now what you have done is you have dipped your toe into a pool, and all the little waves that are going out and getting bigger and bigger and bigger are going to come and adhere to what you are wanting to achieve, right? So you are going to be the master of your destiny in terms of learning new skill sets if you want to. If you don't let the intimidation factor get a hold of you. So for me, like my one achievement of new skill sets is I want to learn Fusion 360. Now I want to learn it here and there, a little bit at a time, because of my learning disability, but I don't classify it as a disability. I just classify it as a hiccup where I go a little bit slower than others. Um, and that's okay because everybody learns at their own pace, at a different pace, and everything like that. So, uh, I want to learn Fusion 360 before anything I ever print. I want to make sure that after saving up enough money to buy a 3D printer, then I will have that skill set before I get the 3D printer. So when I do get it, I do know what to do. Mikey, yo, hermano, ¿qué pasó? Thank you for stopping by, my friend. Thank you, thank you. Sorry, it's a little late, man. So Felicia says it's in my Amazon cart still. First, I want to finish school, then new adventures. Actually, Felicia, if you want to start after your school, how long do you have for school? I really don't want to put you on the spot, Mama. So you don't have to answer if you don't want to, okay? But I tell you what, you can always order it and have it at home, and then as you finish school, that will be your present to yourself to open it up and learn it, right? What up, Jim? Jimmy? Jim, he's here. Cheers to you, Jim. So, and I mean, I myself, I think couple of months this fall. Oh, good. Well, congratulations, Felicia. Congrats, Mama. Um, that'd be awesome. That's awesome. Here, I'll drink to that. So, again, if learning Fusion 360 is a skill set, right? So you have to learn a program in order to do all these um in order to have the skill set, you have to learn the programs, either Fusion 360 or some other program that helps you achieve creating chassis, right? And but you cannot achieve it. Well, you could make a chassis by hand. It'd take a long ass time, probably several tries till you get it right, and that's okay. But the way things are going and the trend is 3D printing these things, right? And 3D printing, of course, takes a lot less time than it would to do one by hand, of course. Then again, you have several skill sets if you do both, right? Because it takes a certain amount of skill set to actually do your angles, to do this, to do your markings, and then maybe cut your PVC and so forth. So you have to do a lot of this and that. Same way with the Fusion 360 and the um, 3D printer, right? So you still have to put in all that information so that the 3D printer can take all that information and produce what you are putting into it. And you have to be on your toes in terms. If I'm right, if I'm correct, Cindy and Jim, tell me if I'm wrong. That if you're not on your toes and making sure that your calculations are correct, your numbers are correct within the code for 3D printing, that even if it's just a millimeter off, then the whole thing is pretty much shut because either it won't fit or if it's too big or too small, or maybe if it is a little bit too big, then you have to sand it down, right, to get it fit just right. Or maybe you already know the tolerances. You already know the tolerances, so you already know it's going to come out a little bit big. So you already know you have to sand it down in order for it to fit. Wherein lies that skill set of knowing when it comes out, it's already big and you got to sand it down. So again, you have skill sets and you can acquire new skill sets. Um, that in itself, I think it's pretty amazing myself, actually, having to learn. And you never stop learning, right? You never stop learning to, from the time you were born to the end of your life, you're never going to stop learning whatever it is. Measure twice, print once. You do typically have some tolerance to play with through. Yeah. Okay. See? So the tolerance now, Cynthia, is that tolerance? Is it the sanding tolerance, or is it because it's a little too big? You have to sand it down, or is it the tolerance that it might fit just right, and you're not sure, but or it could be just a little tight, and just a tiny bit of sanding will make it just go in like butter, right? Now, I cannot say, anything about that because I haven't printed anything. I don't have that skill set as most of. most people on here, right? Most people have that skill set that I still need to acquire that particular skill set. So I'm hoping that probably this winter, or sometime really soon, I'll be able to do that, to get to play around. And I had been thinking about it, and actually last night before I went to bed, I had thought about getting onto the computer and downloading Fusion 360 and kind of going and looking at Jeremy's and Benji's videos and kind of learning how they start off, how they start their chassis stuff. Cindy says, I favor printing a .005 ish big so I can send out most of the print lines. Oh, and that makes sense because that makes it more smooth, right? No, and it also helps with the painting, if I'm correct, right? The sanding and taking out the lines and doing all that sort of stuff. Jim, from what I understand, there is always a little sanding to remove burrs and print marks. Yeah, yeah, the print marks. And I think that's a big deal now, right? That taking out the print marks is like super, super big thing. I mean, you want it to look as clean as possible. So the sanding is really essential to a great looking chassis. At least that's my opinion, and I'm sure you guys would agree with me. You know, but then have y'all run across anybody that are like, oh man, no, that's okay, just leave it the way it is. I'll take care of it, or like they're like, oh, just give me something, here that's like, just do whatever, dude, and I'll do the rest. Yes, give a little extra margin, okay. And so, but everybody, I think, is it was it easy for you guys to transition into that new skill set, or did you kind of, Jim, were you intimidated on your first try or your first go around doing the chassis? Um, when you learned that skill set, did you transition into it easily? Were you intimidated about it? Were you more or less like gung ho about it? I'm gonna get it, and that's all there is to it, right? Maybe you got it on the first try and it stoked the fire. Like, okay, I got it. Let's go. Let's do more. Let's run through the fire. Keep it going. So, that I mean, that's where I'm at an impasse right now because I feel that I need to go to that next stage and learn the new skill set, but I don't necessarily want to get to my own chassis just yet. I want to learn the skill set of learning Fusion 360 or any programs like that so that I can learn to make my own chassis eventually, right? And hopefully I can learn this skill set before I get a 3D printer. And by the time I get one, then I will have already learned what I need to learn to make that to add to my next skill set. And even painting, see, and even painting in terms of now, I mean, I don't paint a whole lot of things, right? And I think that, even just painting your chassis is a good skill set in itself because it does take a lot of patience to get those little nook and crannies and the color just right that you want, picking out the colors. So all of these things together really, really make it pop. I mean, you want that oomph when you do it. Jim says, I have not 3D printed, but putting chassis together so far. I have not been scared, but a MB Graphics might be nerve-wracking. Yeah, yes, I think so too. And Jim, would that be a new skill set for you in terms of that? Um, because and that's the basis for tonight's show is acquiring new skill sets or attempting new skill sets, right? So something you haven't done, but to better yourself within the saber hobby, right? So you're learning this, you're learning that, and you want to move to the next step. And so for like for me, I've learned how to wire. I've learned how to run wire through things. I've learned to solder pretty well now. Um, I've done a pretty decent job at soldering the wires, and now, of course, I am waiting on one little specific piece, right? And I will be done with the F-16. So, and of course, I have to give thanks to Albert, for helping me a lot, and also Space, right? Because I had to ask a lot of questions and stuff, and really do a lot of soul searching and trying to make sure that I wire correctly. But yeah, man, I mean, check that out, dude. Look, I mean, I got it. I pretty much got it. I have pretty much got it, man. I am pretty much there. I just need the cover for the pins, glue that in, and I am golden, man. I can test. So, man, super proud of myself. And but I had a lot of help, and there's no shame in asking for help too, because you have to when you need to. If there's a lot of questions that you have in terms of wiring, because you really don't want to burn up $100 board. And honestly, guys, the board that I have in here, it's funny, man, because the board that I'm gonna do for the F-16 is the board that I have for my memory saber, because I have a brand new CFX, right? But in case I wired something wrong within the F-16, I don't want to burn up a brand new board. I have the brand new board as a backup. So if this one goes wonky, man, I know at least this one has already been fired. I've already tested it. It's gone good. I mean, I'll have to rewire my memory saver anyway, and put all new stuff in there. So putting new stuff in it, that means I'll go ahead and do a new board into the memory saver, and that'll be that, right? Um, or like I said, I may do. Let's see. Jim says I do not want to cook a $70 board. Yeah, of course, man. Shoot, and the CFXs are freaking $90, man. I don't have money to keep buying $90 boards. I mean, jeez, that takes me like three paychecks right there, man. After bills, I'm left with a certain amount, right? And I have to save in order to get just one board. I'm sure I should fairly do well with getting like a golden harvest, right? Or maybe even of a lesser board, but hey, it's all good, man. I like the CFX, right? And I and of course it would take a new skill set to learn the profi. And I know that Cincy and you, Jim, y'all are like profis, man. Y'all like profis, right? So yeah, I'm a little intimidated about the profi, but I am going to learn it eventually, and it's going to be a big challenge for me, but I'm going to learn it one way or another. I'm going to learn it. So I will acquire that skill set. In the immortal words of Yoda, there is you either do or do not. There is no try, and I'm not going to try. I'm either going to do it or I'm not going to do it. So in space, space was kind enough. He sent me a Profi 5.1, right? So that I can learn it, I can acquire that skill set, and have that part of skills in my bag. right? And Cindy says, like, I like them all, but I am partial to Profi. Laugh out loud. That seems to be a big trend, Cindy. Like everybody is who actually love the CFX, right? They are getting more and more partial to Profi, just the same too. So, geez, I mean, that's going to be hard to, everybody's going to go to Profi, and or it seems like the trend is that Profi and CFX are neck and neck, um, in terms of, uh, the usability, in terms of, the different aspects that they offer with all kinds of goodies, to showcase. And I like them all too, since don't get me wrong, man. I like each and every one of the boards. Like I said, I still have an IR3 that I haven't used, and I'm not sure what I'm going to use it in. I may or may not use it in here, but I'm not sure. I mean, because I may and I may not use it in here. I may use it for something else. I may just use it for one of my girls' sabers. Simply because, and then again, I may just hold on to it for nostalgic reasons, because there's no more IRs. I mean, and if anybody has any, I'm sure they're probably not gonna wire them since they got the new boards out, right? So Irv has been really quiet lately. So he's either really busy working on something new. I think he is, Jim. I think he's really working on the next evolution of the CFX. I really do. I think we're gonna see something not soon, but in the near future. I think we're gonna see something big on it, and it's going to rival the Profi to version 2. So we got some good things coming our way, man. There's going to be a lot of stuff, and especially with the new boards that are coming out, all these different new boards, and especially like Electrum has their new boards out. I'm curious to see what Electrum is going to do with their new boards. I forgot what their new boards are called, but I'm curious to see if they have improved all of those problems that they had before. It's time to clock out. I need to run some errands, but I'll keep you on the car as long as I can if I don't get home before stream ends. Have a great night, everybody. Yeah, no worries, Cincy. No worries, man. Um, I'm not sure how long we'll be on tonight, so I'll be on as long as I possibly can, but I don't know if I'll reach the full hour. I'm pretty tired tonight, man. I did get home really early, and but I had to. We had to prepare some homes for the storms over here tonight. So the storms are coming in probably about midnight. I think they're going to be over here by 11 o'clock p.m. tonight here where I'm at. So we'll see what happens. So if you start hearing thunder and everything, guys, it'll probably be time to just kind of jump off and prepare for the evening, because we're supposed to have some big rain and big storm and stuff until the morning of, probably tomorrow morning till about 10 o'clock in the morning. So we'll see what happens. But in the meantime, Cindy, you be careful, man. You be careful, bro. And if you back by the time hopefully I'll still be on by the time you get back, but we'll see. Don't rush, dude. Don't rush, man. Have a good night if you don't make it back, okay? Cheers to you, buddy. So again, therein lies the skill sets and everything, right? Um, Going in terms. Well, actually, even Herb, man. Um, when he is creating these boards and he is putting something new into these boards, he's getting and acquiring new skill sets for our entertainment, our enjoyment, our, everything that we want to see happen. He's taking into an account of that and putting it in on the board. So he's putting a lot of heart, soul, and love into his boards for us to enjoy. And so, and so is the Profi creator, Hubert. Man, forgot. Hubert. It starts with an H. My brain is fried right now, guys. So I'm so sorry. Um, my brain is just going wonky, man, because it's been a long day, a lot of screaming and everything at work. So it's like, ooh. And then I woke up at 5 this morning to take the girls to school. So it's all good. It's all good. Um, Coming back to the skill sets, right? So even acquiring some, even making fonts has a great amount of skill set because you have to have a certain amount of skills, a good ear, right? Knowing what programs to use to put all the fonts together, and for somebody who doesn't do it, man, it sure takes a lot um to do a font. From what I understand, it takes a couple of days, maybe even a week, depending on how busy you are with with your real life, you know, things from day to day. So it's it is what it is, right, Felicia? You gotta roll with the punches. You gotta roll with the punches. I mean, look at me, man. I'm looking like Grizzly Adams here. Hopefully this weekend I'll be able to take care of that. Oh man, yeah, looking like Grizzly Adams. Sheesh. Don't expect me to have a bear next to me. Oh, speaking of, you know what? Poor R2. I went and bought some new batteries for R2, and R2's motivator crapped out. So he doesn't even scream. He doesn't even do nothing. I could scream for him, but it wouldn't be the same. So poor R2, his motivator went bye bye. So I got to go find a new R2. And I don't want to, but that is life, right, Jim? Just gotta roll with it. Just gotta roll with it. And it's true, and that's also, well, of course, not many people see this, but time management is also a skill set that not everybody acquires that way. Or fix that one. There you go, right? I could, Jim. I could fix it. I could fix him. I don't know, actually. It is actually intimidating because it's such a plush toy. I wouldn't know where to really start to what to take off. Yeah. Let me see. Nah. I know that there's a. See, I don't know if they have it. If they have this little ledge right there glued in, I would have to see. And then maybe. Ooh. Maybe if it's just the. Could be just a speaker, maybe. Right? Jim! What up, Jim? Time management. I've seen those. Those are both words that are about. You gotta have time management with wire management, right? Right, Jim? Time and wire management for your sabers, right? What made you want to build sabers? Do you see one person that I can think of built that? Well, Felicia, I told you that the memory saber was what really got me, because when my best friend passed away from brain cancer, I spent a lot of my childhood loving Star Wars, but not acquiring too much Star Wars stuff. And I've always endured it, but I never had the chance to really acquire a lot of things. So as I got older and I started appreciating a lot of things I was seeing a lot of things on YouTube when YouTube came around and so forth. And when I came across the sabers on YouTube, and especially Anthony's. Um, I started watching Anthony, and then I started watching Rob, and I started watching. Shamim, right? And I started watching all these guys, and I really love the fact that you could build these things to utilize tools and bring that much technology together. I mean, I bought a Vader hilt, right? The As a matter of fact, let's see let me see here, right? This was my first hilt, right? The Darth Vader, right? And of course, the LED scrolled up and made sound, and it was cool. I mean, but it was very slow, and the LEDs weren't as bright as what I was seeing on. And of course, now I know that camera brings out more of the blade than it does, right? But at the same time, I was thinking to myself, my God, what better way to put my friend's memory and make him live forever by putting his voice on these things? And it really would showcase not only his voice, but of who he really was, because you have yeah, it's okay to love your Star Wars figures, just don't love your Star Um, I have some Star Wars figures too, guys. I mean, I have a stormtrooper that's like half painted, right? Like they painted him white on the chest, but the arms and part of the leg were left white. I mean, like a like a tannish color, right? And I used to have uh Guido and um oh my gosh, I don't even know where my uh my toy box is way the hell over there. I'd take y'all with me, but I'm afraid I'd trip and that'd be the end of the show. So yeah, man, maybe next time on next Monday I'll show some of the old Star Wars figures that I have, right? I've got an R2 also, the little R2D2 figure, and he's all of the little stickers on him have kind of been eaten away by the years and stuff. I do have a tauntaun that's kind of messed up. I have the solo tauntaun, right? And it's the tauntaun that has the belly where you could put Luke Skywalker in, and I'm sure I have Luke Skywalker somewhere around. Maybe I don't have all my toys here, but I'm sure they're put away somewhere. If not, oh my goodness, I lost a bunch of them because I had a crazy good amount of action figures, and so yeah, it's crazy, man. My cousin used to collect more than I did, and it really kind of hurt me because he was able to get stuff that I wasn't, and I was all like, "Oh, dude, you lucky!" So, and throughout the years, I don't know exactly what happened to all of these things, you know. And I'm just kind of like I'm hoping and wishing that if he has them at his parents' house one day, I'm all like, maybe he'll give them to me. You know, maybe he'll find them and he'll say, "Hey, you want these?" And I'll be like, "Yep, I'm the first one." Right now, therein lies. It's This may be silly to you guys, but that's also a skill set in itself. Is learning the values of these Star Wars characters, you know, especially if they're in the packages and or open box, right? That in itself is a skill set that people should have as well for the love of Star Wars, because you want to know what the value of your stuff is. Life size Ray figure, laugh out loud. Oh man, and then we got people playing Ray, right? We got people playing Luke, we got people playing Solo, we got people playing all of their beloved characters, right? Hey, if you know how to sew, if you know how to make cosplay, there is a skill set right there. So the list goes on, and everything that is associated with sabers, with Star Wars, with anything, is also a skill set, right? but it is the love of these skill sets that we utilize these skill sets to bring us joy with the things that we want to acquire or to make or whatever have you will, right? Maybe even dream of having them. My gosh, I dream of having a wall full of sabers, but that is a wish that is beyond my means. I'd have to sell my house to achieve that, man, and live in a hut. But no, in all seriousness, though, yeah, just acquiring skill sets for the sabers enthusiast, right? It brings a lot of joy to us, but there's also some intimidation factors when you don't know how to do something and you want to attempt to do it. I enjoy attempting things, even if I can't get it on the first go around, maybe the 20th go around. I will acquire it eventually. And it, like I said, it took me a good while to learn things in wiring up. And I still go back to wiring diagrams. I still go back to reading books. I really want to learn to make a good crystal chamber, a fittable crystal chamber without 3D printing it, but getting parts to make it look that way, right? And I'm not talking just, any old part. I mean, because the found parts are what's important, right? Acquiring parts here and there also takes a little bit of skill because you have to hunt some parts down or know what you're kind of looking for. You have to know what your vision is, and in your vision, you need to see those parts. You need to see where you can acquire some of these parts for your vision, and your imagination is the starting point of your skill set because without your imagination, really, I don't think you would have anywhere to go when you're trying or attempting these skill sets to make something that you love, right? Um, I think imagination plays a huge part in your skill set as well. Now, it could be just from looking at a picture, it could be just looking at a show, it could be just looking at something that you pass by on the road, and you think to yourself, hmm, hmm, now that would go good with this. Maybe, maybe. I can just hear R2 going, screaming right now. "Ah!" I can just hear him screaming at me right now, like, nope, nope. Uh, let's see. Felicia says, did you happen to know any sabersmith skills before you even got started, or was it all new? No, Felicia, it was all new. I probably watched Rob Petkow, watched Anthony, Shamim, and a few others, right? And even Meg, right? I probably watched all of their videos hundreds of times. I'm probably looking at 200 or 300 times before I even attempted my first Pixel Blade, right? When I saw Rob is uh, learning to use, to do the pixel stick and to do wiring certain stuff, wiring your um let me see what else wiring your speakers, all of the stuff that you acquire to use to make your chassis, to make just something, right? Just wiring anything. I watched them hundreds of times over and over and over and over again. And even before I even learned to solder wire, I was watching those things religiously every day, probably about 10 times a day before I even started to learn how to wire. And then after probably about the 75th to the 200th time, I felt comfortable enough to order some boards, some just rinky dink boards, and get some wire, get a soldering iron, and I got a hobby kit, right? I think it was from Hobby Lobby. I got one of those soldering irons from Hobby Lobby. No, as a matter of fact, I've got one from Radio Shack. Just a single one from Radio Shack before they closed down. Yeah. Jim says I had experience in soldering electronics and RC helicopters and drone stuff. Plus, I had done a hardware store, Saber with EL blade kit. Oh, see, that's freaking awesome, man. So you already had the experience jumping into this already when you started with RC stuff. Now, I had never I've had RC helicopters, I had RC plane, but I never really wired or put anything together like that. It was always plug and play, right? And I kept thinking to myself after doing my first saber, I was thinking to myself, shit, what if I actually could put a damn airplane or helicopter together myself, after doing this? Pretty good foundation. Yeah, Jim. I mean, no, it's an awesome foundation, dude. It's an awesome foundation. And I love the RC stuff. I still have some RC cars, right? I still have some RC cars, and I actually have an RC helicopter still. Of course, it's um let me see. I think it's an E-flight one, and I think ah yeah, it's right above me, but I'm not gonna get it down. It is the Blade CX2. So Jim, I don't know if you're familiar with those helicopters or not. Excuse me, guys. Whew, my allergies are going crazy. I want to sneeze right now, but I can't. Um, and I can hear that wind picking up outside too. Um, so yeah. Oh, you are. You're familiar with that particular helicopter? It was my very first helicopter, right? And because there's very little experience with it that you could use to play around with it and to learn. So I have not flown it in several years because after a while, my time has been taken with the lightsaber stuff. Eventually, I'd like to get it together and start playing around with it again. I just hope the batteries are not, crapped out and where I have to buy all new batteries. They're a little sensitive, those little things, man. And even charging those boogers, it's a chore to charge those little batteries sometimes, man, because they just go bad so quickly. Let's see, Felicia. I always wondered where Jim gets all his answers from. Years of experience. Yeah, I mean it's a great thing. I'm a pro nerd too. Do you record any of your first attempts, Mundo? No, I don't. I actually, well, I've got a few videos, and they're my videos and at attempting, right, some stuff. And I actually haven't put any of those on, because I've sent Space some of these videos, right, to when I was first attempting, and hundreds of questions that I bugged him about, and he was so gracious to, answer each and every one of them, man. So without him, without Rob Peckow, without Meg, without all of these great builders, I would not have gotten to this point where I'm at right now. And because of them, I am where I'm at right now. And many thanks goes to all of them. But and Shamim also from seeing his videos, and he was so creative in a lot of his videos in terms of the uh the hilts that he produced, and oh my god, some of them came out so spectacular. I was in awe, right? But I was in awe with a lot of the hilts, simply because they blew Hasbro, they blew all of these guys away. It was like, my God, the shit that I bought, the master replicas that I bought was total shit compared to what these guys were doing. And what I was seeing from Disney, I would see people with Disney hilts, and they would like the looks on their faces when you would see these people who made their hilts, then they were 10 times brighter than the Disney hilts. And it was like, wow. Yes, Adam Savage too, right? Of course, he's done some wondrous things. My God, the stuff that he builds and the things, when he puts on his videos, he really puts it raw too. I mean, he doesn't do I'm sure he does some editing, but I don't think he does a whole lot of editing, right? And that's the basis for like I said, and I said it over and over again, and I'm gonna keep saying it because for the new people that are watching this, I want them to understand that you can't edit life, and I feel the need that I shouldn't have to edit these videos to get likes, to get this, to get that. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't, man. I mean, it's cool. My love for the people that are on here right now, talking as if we were talking across the table, having a beer together, talking some shit, talking sabers, and having a good time. That is what this channel is. Well, for me, this is what it means, right? And so, it has to mean something. And I want people to feel comfortable coming on here and being able to speak what they need. Um, the wife's over here kind of copying me with my hands, right? She's making fun of me. She's been like, "No, shut up." I'm like, "Yes." uh, so let's see. Jim says I remember CF5 and thinking like MR just died, left out loud. Right? That's what I'm talking about because each and every new technology that comes out just makes it that much better. The, my wife is over here cracking me up because she's all imitating me, and you see my eyes going this way. I'm looking at her, so she's trying not to say anything or even laugh out loud. Then a year later, it did right. I mean, like I said, with every new technology, it makes things better. But um, at the same time, sometimes the older stuff is really good in retrospect because the master replica hilts, I think after a certain amount of time, when they died out and when master replicas kind of went away, everybody was wondering where the hilts went to, right? Bye, honey. And so if you had a master replica hilt, you wanted to redo that hilt with all the new technology that was coming out. You wanted to put, a whole new chassis in there. You want to put a whole new blade. You want to put the newest board that came out, the new soundboard, so yeah, man, who wouldn't, right? You got a hilt, why not utilize it? Don't let it just sit in your closet and sit there collecting dust. Bring some new life to it. And that is another skill set where you can bring something that's already dead back to life, with new vigor, new fun. And I had, it tickles me to death because you see all these different hilts. And sometimes it's the same hilt with all these different boards. So you kind of figure, okay, is it really any that different than this hilt, this hilt, and this hilt, right? No, normally it's not. It is the board that's inside it that makes it so unique, right? You might have a little light here or light there, or maybe even a switch that makes it unique. But when you build your saber with the found parts, or you build your saber to what is part of you, part of your soul, part of your um, treasure hunt, so to speak, right? Your treasure hunt. That's where the fun begins because it is what you put into it and not what anybody else did. And that sense of belonging, that sense of accomplishment, and that sense of elation from fun hits you, you can't beat that feeling. You cannot beat that feeling. So, and again, I want to reiterate that you make you make that skill set the way you approach it to anything else, right? Taking that next step. So you learn how to do your wires. You take the next step to wire your wires to your board. You take the next step. You wire your switches to the board. You take your next step. And let's say you get all your wiring steps done. Now you already know it works. Now you want to put everything in the hilt, but your hilt needs work. So what do? It takes a skill set to drill and tap it, takes a skill set to paint it, takes a skill set to put a shroud on it, to even build a shroud, right? It takes all these different skill sets step by step to achieve your version of the hilt to that degree of what you want to do with it. Now, whether you sell it or not, that's on you, right? Or whether you keep it and put it on the wall, that's on you. Whether you play around and cosplay with it, that's on you. It is all these different skill sets that you acquire that will bring you ultimately to the hilt that you really enjoy, having in your hand, swinging it around. Now, there's some, and I don't know if I'm wrong or not, but there's some hilts that you're kind of like, I really don't want to swing this around. I think it'll look good if I can get it to turn on right up here, and it'll turn on, it'll do what I need it to do, just pushing the button, and we're good. We're golden. It'll put oohs, ahs, yay, ha. And everybody's happy, right? Now you might put it in front of the camera too, and you might, light it up and everything and explain what you got in it and so forth. And you know, it also takes a skill set talking about what you've made. Because yeah, I know some people that can't even get in front of the camera, and the minute they see that little light on, they lose their shit. They're like, uh, uh, uh. And it cracks me up sometimes. Because my first time, I think I did that, right? I got a little, yeah, I was intimidated when I got on with space, right? And but when he and Kevin and I got together and we talked about Albatross Junction, it was just like we were sitting across and we were having so much fun. We were laughing, we were dying laughing, man. We were laughing so hard, we were crying. We had such a great time. And Felicia can attest to this, man, because she had such a good time. Just everybody had a good time just listening to us. And of course, life goes on, right? Like you said, Jim, life goes on. I mean, you got real life that happens, and things take a backseat to certain things, and you got to take care of other things and so forth. And every now and then, super fun, right? And every now and then, of course, Space will have some time to come on here when he has time. Luckily he had time when Cal came on. That was a treat in itself, right? But it was even bigger honor and a real treat to have Cal on here as well. I was so blessed and honored that he came on here. Uh, I really, enjoyed the time that we were on here together. It made it really cool. It was, and the way he explained, the new building and so forth, that was super cool. Talking about Tenacious D, talking about all of that stuff. It was super cool to hear that. And what's coming, right? What's in the works. So, and even Cal put out all these different skill set videos. I watched Cal too, so don't get me wrong. When I was mentioning all these names, yes, I did leave Cal out at that point in time, but because I wanted to mention Cal a little bit later by himself with all the stuff that Cal has done and produced and even shown. Um, who would have thought that Mr. Mega Mega up here now, right? My God. Fun fact, Space Window has to have a shot before every time. He has to have a shot before comes on. I just take my shot while I'm on here, man. I'm good to go. Or my beer, right? Now, before before I forget, man, I got some prayers out for everybody out there in California because we all heard about the storms, right? All the flooding and everything that's out there in California. So, Robert and BK and a few other people, Dave also out there in California. You guys, if y'all are watching this, man, many prayers. I hope y'all are okay. And I'm gonna pray for you guys to make sure that everything's all okay with you guys. So I'm hoping the water's kind of receding a little bit now, and after all of that. But man, you guys got a lot of work ahead of y'all with all of that was through there, gone through there. So I'm sure that they may not have power too. So hopefully they can restore power pretty soon to those guys. I'm praying pretty hard for that. Um, let's make sure that we all give these guys a great big hand because without them, my state is just burning left out loud. Jim, shit. So we got one underwater and we got one burning, man. Shoo. And we got one over here with winds and everything. So my gosh, a lot of crazy weather. I tell you what, man. This weather is about as bipolar as my individuals at work, dude. It's crazy. It is crazy. You got the wind screaming and you got the rain pounding down. I mean, it's like people screaming and crying and hitting and biting and everything. Well, that's the way the weather is right now. Hitting, crying, biting at every state there is in between. Man, I tell you, it's a great day to be alive. Oh my God. No, I'm so tired. I'm getting demented already, right? Oh my God, already an hour. Jeez. Jesus. Man. And y'all are listening to me? This go on and ramble and ramble. Oh my God. But you know what? I love you guys so much, man, for being here with me. Because this is what makes the channel go around. I really enjoy it when y'all talk with me and everything because the interaction brings everything, and especially Cham and who let's see who else we have in here. Did I miss anybody? I hope I didn't miss anybody, right? Felicia, Jim, Cinzy. Let's see who else. Jeez. Mikey, you still with us, Mikey? I hope you are, man. I know I haven't seen Chad in here yet, but of course, I came on a little bit. I came on a little bit early too, because normally I'd be doing it 9:45, but I came in about 20 so minutes early for the simple fact that I got home early and I wanted to try to catch as many people as I could. I know 9:45, a lot of people be asleep. Um, but then again, at this time of night right now, some people across the world are just waking up and catching this. So, um, I hope you guys have a great time, great morning wherever you are. Titan, you're not late, bro. You're never late, man. You got things to do. You got things to do. You're never late, man. Never late. Never late, dude. Um, so again, so Titan, you saw the title, right? So we're talking about skill sets and everything. Um, oh, let me ask you, Titan. Well, no, well, you still haven't really, you paint some of your stuff, right? You weather your hilts and so forth. Um, not sure. Or you just buy your hilts. I mean, some of your skill sets that I've seen you mention sometimes, right? Um, and we're talking about intimidation of skill sets, whether you have wanted to learn a skill set but you haven't learned it or you're going to learn it. Chuck, what up, Chuck? Um, do you take your steps, okay? In your steps, is it easy transition to your next skill set, or is it a rough one where you kind of got to work into it and get into it, learn it, and it takes you a while to learn it, and then you got it and you go with it, and you've got to that step and you're almost ready for the next step, but not quite yet, right? So that's what tonight's thing is about, is acquiring new skill sets. But what is it going to take for you to acquire that new skill set? You know, where are you at in your skill sets that you're comfortable right now, but you're wanting to take yourself to the next level? Where are you at? Chuck, you what is your skill set at right now? Are you most of an all around skills in doing your hilts in terms of you make your own chassis, you do your own wiring, you do, you know, your own painting your hilts. Do you customize and build your own hilts along with everything on top of that? Or do you buy the hilts and then go from there? What's your all around skill set in terms of the hobby? Um, so that's the basis for tonight's show, man, is where you at in your skill sets, and are you intimidated by any one skill set that's kind of like stopping you from getting to the next step, when you're just not ready to get to the next step just yet? And that's why I was like telling a lot of people right now, I'm wanting to learn Fusion 360 so I can get comfortable with it before um, I acquire a 3D printer and have some kind of knowledge before I buy a 3D printer on what to do. Yeah, time I weather, right? Now, was it an easy transition to weather your hilts? Was it, or was it kind of like intimidating at first? Like, where do I start? Did you watch videos on how to weather first, or did you just kind of like jump into it and say, "Oop, I screwed up. Okay, do over," and keep going from there? And as you did it over and over and over again, you got to the point where you're good enough, where you know what you're doing, and that's the end of it. Um, or did you look at and you go in, you know, and of course there's all the forums too, right? Where you can go in and talk to people in the forums and ask questions and get information that way. So I do not want to leave that particular thing up, because everybody in the forums is so incredibly helpful as well, to offer their information on how they went about doing certain skill sets, how they go about, you know, doing the weathering, how they go about doing wrapping, how they go about, you know, drilling and so forth, right? So you have all these skill sets that you're basically trying to acquire, but you are learning this knowledge in order to get to that point. So um, I feel that again, I'm gonna tell people that I think with the first skill set that most of everybody has is your own imagination, right? That you know what you want to do. You dream of this particular hill. You dream of this particular color scheme that's going to be in the hill. You're going to dream about all of that kind of stuff. Just weathering, still learning electronics, right? Okay. So you're still learning electronics. So you're acquiring that next step skill. And hey, Chuck, it's nothing to laugh at, man. That is a great skill to have. I mean, honestly, I have not learned too much electronics, really. I have a book on electronics. I very briefly looked at it. Um, I tell you, but reading, you know, reading the books, you know, reading the manuals and asking questions and looking for answers and asking questions here and there, right? Is how I acquired some of my knowledge in terms of wiring up, you know, the sabers. Now, eventually, I want to learn how to weather really well. Eventually, I want to learn how to produce a chassis really well. Eventually, I would learn. I would love to learn how to produce my own hilt on a lathe. Um, you know, I would love to acquire all of these different skill sets and keep learning these type of skills to get that much closer to what a Jedi actually does in learning, you know, to make his lightsaber, right? His custom saber, should I say. So there That is the biggest ordeal right there. So you're learning your skill set, which is awesome, dude. It's awesome, Chuck. Really, it is awesome because I think that when you um and I think too much right now. I'm so tired. I keep going on and on over and over again. My God, my apologies, everybody, that I keep repeating myself. Like I said, doing this 1,000 times a day, repeating myself, it's kind of hard to stop. Uh, thank God, thank God I got sabers to look at right now, and even the blade, right, and the stands that Cinzy made for me, and I have to. And even Megtooth, he got me. He sent me one that, if you can see right there behind me, right below Vader, um, there's a stand right there that you know that I need that I acquired. So let's see here. Where is the one? Oh, I think it's way up there. The one from Meg is way up there. There you go. Can you guys see that? The white stand right there, that's from Meg Tooth right there, guys. So I'm gonna bring it down slowly so I don't make y'all sick. And put myself back. I'll probably make everybody sick just getting back into the picture. But yeah, man, that particular thing right there that Meg built, man, that saber stand right there, uh I've figured out the color scheme that I want for it because in the middle of it, it's got a cog, right? The Empire symbol. So what I want to do is when I get time, I'll sand that thing down, and I'm going to make it like almost a patinaed brass, all of it, and a matte black for the Empire sign, right? The cog for the Empire. So that's going to be the color scheme to that particular hilt holder. I need to learn to whether with aluminum or brass black, then etching. Yeah, see, that is really cool right there, man. Etching. That is another skill and is a whole new beast entirely in itself, man. A whole new beast entirely in itself. So, God, I mean, I tell you that it's some of the etching that I've seen lately. I want to get some of these etchers on the show, and I think it's important that we showcase these individuals who put so much love into that kind of work because you could tell when they do this stuff, it is all love, man. That is just an exquisite skill set to acquire. I mean, just beautiful designs, right? So, guys, I'm starting to hear some droplets and things coming on. So, I'm gonna go ahead and call it a night, guys. Thank you so much, Chuck, Titan, and everybody, Felicia, Cindy, yeah, everybody on here, guys. I can't thank you enough for being here and chilling with me. Means a lot. I know you guys have lives and y'all are, busy to the max, and I certainly appreciate everything that you guys come and be with me for Mundo Madness Monday. And I'm so sad that R2 lost his motivator. So I'm gonna have to get a new R2 and see how the new R2 works. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I can figure out how to fix this one and see. Maybe I'll put a new speaker from Smugglers in R2 and see if that works. He might blow the screen out of everything, man, with his screams. Being careful with chemicals is, yeah, yeah, you have to really chase the pattern, the film. Cutting is the hard part of acid etching. Yeah, I believe it, man. I really believe it. Yeah, so Titan Man, again, no, thanks for, coming on here, guys. And I really enjoy doing this. And as long as you guys allow me and like me doing this, I'll do it as long as I can, as long as I'm able to. Um, I'm not doing this for money. This to me is just super fun to have a beer and sit here and talk with you guys. So that's what Mundo Madness is about, is having a good time, talking sabers. Yeah. Yeah, guys. Ladies, you too, Felicia. Yeah, that's what it's all about, man. That's what makes the world go round. So, without further ado, guys, I'll bid you guys good night. Y'all have a great week. Stay safe, stay dry. Fun times. That's right, guys. Now I'm gonna catch Mundo's. Let's see. Let me do my outro. And love you guys. Peace.
In here, we pour whiskey.